The galaxy was silent in the vast stretches between stars. Yet in the quiet, a small signal flickered, weak but urgent. It was the Zerathi, a species that had lived quietly for thousands of years on a blue and green planet far from the core of the galaxy. The Zerathi were not known for war. Their cities floated gracefully above oceans, built with crystal-like towers and delicate bridges. Their technology was advanced, but it was focused on research, art, and exploration. They had no experience in battle, and now they were facing a threat beyond anything they had ever imagined. The signal pulsed across light years, reaching the Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the shimmering halls of the Council station. Each species had its own motives and priorities. Some cared little for the Zerathi. "Why bother?" said the Draln, a species of insect-like creatures with armor harder than steel. "They are weak. Their world is insignificant. Let them fall." The Council debated for hours. Some argued that ignoring the plea would set a dangerous precedent. If one species could be destroyed without consequence, others might fall next. Others said, "Intervention is risky. We do not know the strength of the Vorak horde. Many have tried to oppose them. Few survived." Meanwhile, the Zerathi scientists and leaders worked frantically. Their communications officer, a tall, thin being named Thalin, paced in front of the main console. His voice trembled as he addressed the council. "Please, help us. The Vorak will destroy everything. Our defenses cannot hold our people. They are not warriors. They cannot fight what is coming." The council's deliberation stretched into cycles of light, but no decision came. And the Zerathi felt the shadow of doom growing nearer. It was then that a new signal appeared, cutting through the usual chatter of the council. It was humanity. Humans were a young species in galactic terms. Their colonies were far from the center of the council's influence, yet their reputation had grown steadily. They were known for their boldness, intelligence, and some whispered a certain unpredictability that could turn the tide of any conflict. The human admiral, Kara Vance, appeared in a holographic projection before the council. Her posture was confident, her eyes steady. "We have received the Zerathi distress signal," she said. "We do not wait for permission to act. Humanity will respond. We will help them survive, no matter the cost." There was a murmur of disbelief. Many council members whispered among themselves. "Why would humans intervene?" asked a representative from the Rithan, a species that prided itself on cold logic. "They have no alliance with the Zerathi. This is not their fight." Admiral Vance's voice carried across the chamber. "Because it is the right fight. We do not measure worth by size or power. We measure it by courage and the will to live. The Zerathi have neither weapons nor armies. That makes them vulnerable. We will not let that happen." The humans had already begun assembling their fleet. Their ships were unlike anything the council had seen. Sleek, metallic, and built for both speed and devastating firepower, they moved through space with purpose. Onboard crews trained relentlessly. Every system was checked and rechecked. Every strategy analyzed. Humanity prepared not for negotiation, not for diplomacy, but for a war that had already started in the shadows. On the Zerathi homeworld, panic was spreading. Civilians moved to shelters, while scientists and engineers struggled to reinforce their cities. Thalin and the Zerathi Council huddled in the main chamber, watching star maps and calculating probabilities. "If the Vorak arrive tomorrow, we are finished," Thalin whispered. Then in the dark of space, a faint shimmer appeared on the horizon. It was small at first, like a distant star, but as it grew it became clear it was the human fleet. Ships glided silently through space, their engines quiet but their presence undeniable. The Zerathi watched in awe, unable to believe that a single species could move so decisively across the galaxy. The first human ship landed near the largest Zerathi city. A landing pod descended, opening its doors to reveal humans in sleek, dark suits with expressions of calm determination. The Zerathi leaders approached cautiously, unsure whether these were allies or another unknown threat. Admiral Vance stepped forward, her voice firm but kind. "We are here to help. Tell us your needs. Show us your defenses. We will protect your world." Thalin bowed, overwhelmed by relief. We have no defenses," he admitted. "Our people are not fighters. We do not know how to—" He trailed off, unable to finish the thought. Vance smiled gently. "That is why we are here. We will teach. We will fight. We will not fail." The Zerathi began showing the humans their cities, their energy grids, their planetary shields. Humans analyzed everything at lightning speed, offering suggestions and improvements. They worked through the night and into the cycles of the planet, reorganizing defenses, planning escape routes, and preparing strategies for a battle the Zarathi had never imagined. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the Vorak horde advanced. Their warships were massive, bristling with weapons, and their commanders believed victory was certain. The Zarathi are weak. The humans? They are few. It will be easy to crush both, their general barked. But humans had a different plan. They did not need to outnumber the Vorak. They relied on speed, intelligence, and precision. Their fleet spread in formations designed to confuse and trap the enemy. Their weapons could disable multiple ships at once, and their pilots executed maneuvers that no alien race had ever attempted. Back on the Zarathi homeworld, citizens watched as humans coordinated the defenses. Children stared in awe, elders whispered prayers of gratitude, and Thalen finally allowed himself a smile. For the first time in many cycles, hope glimmered in their eyes. Admiral Vance addressed the Zarathi Council again. The Vorak believe this world is easy prey. They do not know what we bring. They underestimate humanity as many have. That is their mistake. We will protect you, and we will show the galaxy that courage is not measured by size or firepower, but by will and action. The council members nodded, inspired. They had never seen such resolve. They had never imagined that a species so young in the galactic stage could act with such certainty and honor. As night fell over the floating cities of the Zarathi, the humans continued their preparations. Ships floated in orbit, systems humming, crews running final simulations, and far away the Vorak fleet continued its march, unaware of the storm that awaited them. Thalen stood atop one of the city towers, looking up at the stars. We begged for help, he whispered to himself. And humans, they came. Not for glory, not for reward, but because it was the right thing to do. Admiral Vance appeared at his side, looking out at the horizon. Courage is contagious, she said softly. Soon the Vorak will learn that lesson the hard way. The first part of the story ended with a sense of tension and hope. The Zarathi were still vulnerable, the Vorak still approaching, and the galaxy watching. Humanity had made its choice. They would not sit idly by while injustice spread. They would act. They would fight. And the universe would soon see that humans were not to be underestimated. The signal of war pulsed across space, but so did the signal of hope. For the first time, the Zarathi felt that they were not alone. They had allies. They had humans. And in the vast darkness of the galaxy, sometimes courage itself was the deadliest weapon of all. A Part 1 complete. 1,300 words introduced. Zarathi, Vorak, humans, Admiral Vance. Built suspense. Impending Vorak attack. Showed HFY theme. Humanity acting with courage, intelligence, and principle. Engaging in readable, simple English. If you want, I can continue with Part 2. The arrival in the same style, keeping it exciting and building toward the first battle. Do you want me to write Part 2 next? You said ChatGPT said absolutely. Here's Part 2 of your HFY sci-fi story in simple, engaging third-person English. Around 1,300 words. When aliens begged for help, humans sent the deadliest fleet ever. Part 2. The arrival. The human fleet moved through space with silent precision. Dozens of ships glided in tight formation, their metallic hulls gleaming against the dark canvas of the galaxy. The Vorak scouts had noticed them, but they underestimated their speed and coordination. To the aliens observing from afar, humans seemed small in number compared to the massive fleets of other species. Yet there was a quiet confidence about them that was impossible to ignore. Above the largest Zarathi city, human ships hovered in orbit. The citizens looked up with wide eyes. The ships were larger than anything they had ever seen, and their design was sleek, almost elegant, yet clearly built for strength. Humans were already deploying landing pods, moving with careful precision. Admiral Cara Vance led the landing personally. She stepped out onto the crystalline platform, her boots making a firm but soft sound against the alien surface. Her crew followed her, scanning the area, setting up communication networks and coordinating with Zarathi engineers. The humans did not rush. They did not panic. They moved as if the entire operation had been rehearsed countless times, though each action was adjusted for the unique features of the planet. Thalen, the Zarathi communications officer, approached cautiously. I cannot believe you are here, he said, his voice trembling. We thought we... The dark expanse of space above the Zerathi world shimmered as the Vorak fleet advanced. Massive warships, black as obsidian and bristling with weapons, moved with terrifying precision. The Vorak believed the planet was defenseless and assumed the humans would be easy to overwhelm. They did not anticipate the intelligence, planning, and courage that awaited them. Admiral Kara Vance hovered over the command console aboard the USS Resolute, the flagship of the human fleet. Her eyes scanned every blip on the sensor screens. "Positions are perfect," she said. "Energy grids are at maximum efficiency. All drones are deployed. They will hit hard, but they will not expect us to be ready." Around her, human officers worked calmly. Their movements were precise, their voices measured. Each ship in the fleet responded instantly to commands, forming defensive formations and scanning for enemy weaknesses. The humans had prepared for this moment for cycles of planning, training, and observation. The first Vorak strike came without warning. Giant energy beams tore through space, aimed at key positions on the planet's orbit. Zerathi citizens watched from their shelters, holding hands and whispering prayers. But the humans were ready. Drones intercepted the energy beams, breaking them apart before they could reach the surface. Defensive shields flared, absorbing impacts, and human ships maneuvered with breathtaking speed, positioning themselves to strike at weak points in the Vorak formation. Vance smiled slightly. They expected chaos. They got precision. On the surface, the Zerathi soldiers followed the humans' guidance. They operated energy turrets, coordinated communication relays, and assisted civilians in moving to safe zones. Humans taught them how to think like strategists, not just fighters. Even the smallest actions, moving a turret, rerouting energy, securing a bridge, could turn the tide of battle. The Vorak commander, General Raxer, watched his fleet's progress with growing frustration. These humans, their numbers are small. How can they resist so efficiently? He ordered his ships to focus fire, aiming to destroy the fleet before it could inflict damage. But humans had anticipated this. As the Vorak concentrated their attack, the fleet shifted positions. Smaller human ships moved into flanking positions, targeting the Vorak's supply lines and shield generators. Precision strikes disabled several key weapon systems, leaving the Vorak vulnerable. Thalen, the Zerathi communications officer, watched the battle unfold in awe. I cannot believe this," he whispered. "They are few, yet they move as one. Every action, perfectly timed." Vance's voice came over the planet's communication network. "Focus on coordination. Anticipate their attacks. Protect your people. The Vorak think they are invincible. They will learn otherwise." The Vorak were growing desperate. They had never encountered an enemy that could predict and counter their every move. Their attacks became erratic, and their formation started to break. Human ships struck with pinpoint accuracy, targeting weak spots and exploiting mistakes. Each movement seemed effortless, yet it was carefully calculated and coordinated. On the surface, Zerathi soldiers were inspired. For the first time, they moved with confidence. They repositioned energy turrets, repaired shields under fire, and relayed critical information to human commanders. Though inexperienced, their courage combined with human guidance created an unexpected strength. "Admiral," one of Vance's officers reported, "the Vorak flagship is isolated. If we strike together, we can disable it completely." Vance nodded. "Do it. Concentrate fire. Timing is critical." In orbit, human ships converged on the Vorak flagship. Energy beams fired in perfect synchronization, striking the enemy's shields repeatedly. The Vorak retaliated, but their attacks were scattered and ineffective. Within moments, the flagship's weapons were offline, and critical systems were failing. The Vorak began to retreat, surprised and humiliated. General Raxer roared in anger. "They are too clever. How is this possible?" His fleet scattered, trying to regroup, but human tactics were relentless. They predicted the Vorak movements, cut off escape routes, and forced the enemy into traps. The Vorak had never faced an enemy that combined intelligence, courage, and precision in such a way. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, Vance oversaw the evacuation and safety of civilians. She coordinated with Zerathi engineers to repair damaged energy shields, reroute power to critical areas, and ensure communication lines remained open. Every human officer acted with calm authority, demonstrating both leadership and care for the lives of others. Thalen turned to Vance. "Your people? They fight not just with weapons, but with their minds, and with honor." Vance nodded. "We fight to protect, not to destroy. That is what makes the difference. Anyone can destroy. Few have the courage to protect. The battle continued for hours. Vorak ships attempted desperate maneuvers, but humans countered every move. Drones intercepted missiles, ships executed complex evasive actions, and energy shields absorbed what would have been catastrophic strikes. The Vorak began to realize that numbers alone were meaningless against an enemy that could think, adapt, and act with unwavering precision. On the command bridge of the USS Resolute, Vance issued her next orders. Prepare the counterattack. Focus on their reinforcements. We will show them the cost of underestimating humanity. The humans launched a series of coordinated strikes. Smaller ships flanked the Vorak, cutting off escape routes. Energy pulses disabled key weapons, and carefully timed maneuvers forced the enemy into positions where retreat was impossible. The Vorak flagship, already crippled, was captured rather than destroyed, a symbol of both human efficiency and strategic mercy. The Zarathi watched the enemy fall back in disbelief. We begged for help, Thalen whispered, and they are more than we imagined. They are unstoppable. Vance activated a communication link with the Vorak commander. Her tone was firm but controlled. This world is not yours. Your fleet underestimated us. Consider this your warning. Leave this sector or face complete defeat. We do not fight for conquest. We fight for justice and life. The Vorak, shocked by the efficiency and bravery of the humans, retreated. General Raxer glared at the sensor screens, rage and fear mixed in his eyes. He had faced many enemies, but never one that could outthink, outmaneuver, and outfight with such precision. On the Zarathi homeworld, citizens emerged from shelters. The city was damaged, but it stood. People hugged their families, tears of relief flowing freely. Soldiers cheered, inspired by the courage and skill of the humans. The humans had not just saved a planet, they had ignited hope. Thalen approached Vance, his voice trembling with gratitude. You saved us, not just with weapons, but with guidance, courage, and wisdom. We will never forget this. Vance placed a hand on his shoulder. This is just the beginning. There are still battles ahead, but remember, courage and intelligence can overcome even the greatest odds. You have the strength to survive, and we will help you every step of the way. As night fell, the Zarathi world glimmered under the protective energy shields of the humans. The fleet hovered silently above, ready for the next move. The first clash had been won, but the Vorak would not surrender easily. Vance walked the command bridge, watching the stars. They think the galaxy is theirs by fear, she said quietly. They do not understand humans. We fight for what is right, and when necessary, we fight without hesitation. The Vorak will learn the cost of underestimating us. For the Zarathi, this was a turning point. They had witnessed humans not just as warriors, but as teachers, leaders, and protectors. They began to believe that survival was possible, and that courage could exist even in the face of overwhelming danger. The galaxy, silent and vast, had seen the first proof of human might, and the Vorak, for all their strength and arrogance, had learned a lesson they would not soon forget. When humans choose to fight, they fight with skill, courage, and unwavering determination. The first clash was over, but the war was only beginning, and humanity, as always, would be ready. A Part 3 complete, 300 words introduced. First major battle with Vorak, human tactical genius. Built suspense and excitement, showed HFY theme, courage, intelligence, protection over conquest. Engaging, readable, simple English. I can continue with Part 4, the turning tide, where humans take the fight to the Vorak and shift the momentum. Should I write Part 4 next? You said ChatGPT said absolutely. Here's Part 4 of your HFY sci-fi story in simple, engaging third-person English, around 1,300 words. When aliens begged for help, humans sent the deadliest fleet ever. Part 4, the turning tide. The Vorak had retreated, but their fury was unmatched. Across the galaxy, their fleet moved like a storm, gathering strength, repairing damages, and planning retaliation. For the Zarathi, relief was short-lived. They knew the Vorak would return with more ships, more firepower, and greater resolve. Yet alongside them floated humanity's fleet, a symbol of hope, courage, and precision that had already proven its worth. Admiral Cara Vance stood on the bridge of the USS Resolute, watching the sensor displays. They are regrouping, she said calmly. It's what we expected. Their next attack will be stronger, faster, more coordinated, but so will we. Around her, the human officers worked tirelessly. Every ship was checked, weapons calibrated. Shoo. The Vorak Empire had suffered devastating losses. Their fleets were scattered, their supply lines destroyed, and their morale shattered. General Raxor had retreated to the far reaches of the galaxy, nursing his pride and planning revenge. But for now the humans had turned the tide, and the Zarathi were safe. Admiral Kara Vance hovered over the command console aboard the USS Resolute. She studied the sensor feeds showing the Vorak retreating beyond the sector. "They have learned the first lesson," she said softly. "They underestimated humanity. Let's make sure the lesson lasts." The human fleet moved with purpose. Precision strikes disabled remaining Vorak warships, cutting off escape routes and supply lines. But the humans were careful. They did not destroy indiscriminately. Their goal was not vengeance, but to end the threat permanently while minimizing unnecessary loss of life. On the Zarathi homeworld, citizens celebrated cautiously. The energy shields that had protected their cities still glowed softly in the night sky, a reminder of the humans' presence and protection. Families hugged each other. Soldiers stood tall with newfound confidence, and engineers worked alongside human crews to repair and strengthen defenses. Thalen approached Vance, his expression a mix of awe and gratitude. "You have not only saved our world," he said. "You have shown us what courage truly is. You do not fight for glory. You fight for justice. You fight for life." Vance nodded, her voice calm and resolute. "That is the way of humanity. We do not wait for orders from others, and we do not choose battles for reward. We act when it is right. That is what sets us apart." With the Vorak scattered, humans moved deeper into enemy territory. They targeted strategic locations, energy hubs, communication stations, and warship factories. Each strike was precise, ensuring the Vorak could not rebuild quickly. Every action sent a clear message. Humanity would not allow oppression or fear to dominate the galaxy. Back on the Zarathi world, soldiers trained under human guidance. They learned tactics, defensive strategies, and the importance of coordination. Humans taught them that courage combined with intelligence could overcome even the most powerful enemies. Slowly, the Zarathi transformed from a peaceful, unprepared species into one capable of defending themselves in future conflicts. Vance addressed her fleet over the comm network. "Do not underestimate the enemy. Though they are retreating, they will regroup. Every strike must be calculated, every movement precise. Humanity does not fight recklessly. We fight with purpose and intelligence." The Vorak, desperate and enraged, tried one last counterattack. Massive warships moved to defend their core worlds. But the humans anticipated this. They set traps, flanked the enemy, and struck with precision. Within hours, the last Vorak warships in the sector were disabled or surrendered. General Raxor, facing inevitable defeat, finally sent a message. "Humans, you are unlike anything we have ever faced. We surrender for now," Vance replied calmly, her tone steady. "Victory does not make us conquerors. We will accept your surrender on one condition. You never threaten the Zarathi or any defenseless species again. Humanity will fight for justice, but we do not seek unnecessary destruction." The Vorak grudgingly accepted. Their empire had been shaken, their arrogance broken, and their soldiers left in awe and fear of the humans who had defeated them. On the Zarathi world, the citizens erupted in celebration. Families reunited, and soldiers who had been terrified days ago now stood proudly. Humans were everywhere, helping repair infrastructure, rebuild cities, and strengthen planetary defenses. Their presence was not just protective, it was inspiring. Thalen stood beside Admiral Vance as they watched the repairs. "Your people, they do not just fight," he said quietly. "They inspire, they teach, they lead. I have never seen anything like it." Vance smiled. "We fight because it is right, and we act because we must. Courage is contagious. Once it takes hold, it spreads across worlds, species, and generations. That is the true power of humanity." The Zarathi Council gathered to express their gratitude formally. Thalen spoke on behalf of his people. "Humans arrived when we had no hope. They taught us courage, strategy, and perseverance. They saved our species from extinction. Humanity is not just powerful, they are honorable. They are a beacon of hope in the galaxy." Vance responded humbly. "We did what any species with courage and conscience should do. But remember this, the galaxy is full of challenges. What you learned here today is not just how to survive a battle. It is how to stand for what is right, even when the odds are against you." As the Zarathi rebuilt, humanity did not linger unnecessarily. Ships departed in formation, returning to their colonies and fleets across the galaxy. but their presence left a lasting mark. The Zarathi now knew that they were not alone, and that a species existed that would act with intelligence, courage, and principle when others faltered. Reports of the human intervention spread across the galaxy. Other species, once indifferent or dismissive, now whispered of humans with a mix of awe and respect. Tales of their courage, strategy, and compassion traveled quickly. A species that fought for justice, protected the weak, and acted decisively when others hesitated. Vance sent a final communication to the Zarathi. Your world is safe. Continue to learn, grow, and prepare. Humanity will always act to protect those who cannot defend themselves. You are not alone in this galaxy. Stand tall, and remember the lessons of courage and unity you have learned. Thalen stood atop one of the tallest towers, gazing at the stars. They came when we begged for help, he whispered. And they were more than warriors. They were a promise that courage, intelligence, and honor are stronger than fear, greed, or power. Vance joined him, looking up at the same stars. We will continue to protect, to teach, and to act when it is right. The galaxy will see humanity, and they will remember. Never underestimate those who fight for justice. The Zarathi now understood that humanity's greatest weapon was not just their technology or fleet. It was their spirit. Humans did not act for conquest, for profit, or for glory. They acted because it was the right thing to do. That principle, that unwavering courage, had saved an entire species from extinction. As night fell over the rebuilt cities, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy, not just as a warrior species, but as a symbol, a standard for what courage, intelligence, and honor could achieve. The Vorak had been defeated. But more importantly, the galaxy had seen something new. Humans were a force to be reckoned with. Not because of their numbers or sheer firepower, but because they combined ingenuity, bravery, and moral resolve in a way no other species had. Thalen looked around at his people, their eyes wide with hope and determination. We will never forget this, he said. Humans showed us that even the smallest, weakest species can survive when courage and wisdom lead the way. Vance gave a final nod to the Zarathi. Your people have grown stronger. You have learned what it means to fight with purpose and honor. Carry this forward. The galaxy is vast and challenges will come. Stand ready. And remember, humanity will stand with those who act justly. As the human fleet departed, moving back to distant colonies and new missions, the Zarathi watched with awe. They had been saved not just by weapons but by the spirit of humanity. And the galaxy, vast and silent, had witnessed a new legend. Humans, defenders of the helpless, masters of strategy, and a beacon of hope for all who believed in justice. The story of that battle, the first clash of wills and the courage displayed would be told for generations. In every corner of the galaxy, species whispered the same truth. When humans arrive, hope arrives with them. And when humans fight, even the most powerful adversaries learn that courage, intelligence, and honor are the deadliest weapons of all. The Zarathi had survived. The Vorak had been humbled. And humanity had carved its name into the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as guardians, teachers, and symbols of the power of doing what is right.